Fight!
Good morning, afternoon, and evening everyone. Nick here and welcome to or welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the Zatoichi inspired character of Mortal Kombat, Kenshi, and ranking all of his designs from the worst to the best. Many of you have been asking for this beloved fan favorite to appear on this series, and yeah, I felt like it was the right time to do it now. I'll just say this right now, this was such a hard ranking to put together because Kenshi really doesn't have any bad designs. They range from decent and good to goated. Yeah, this is a hard list to put together, I'm gonna tell you that right now. Honestly, there are only a couple of designs in this list that I really don't like, and I'll explain why, but I can confidently say that Kenshi has some of the best designs in all of the series. They're all consistently good and they all just nail what they're going for. You all should know the rules by now. This is just my ranking and these are just my opinions, and I'd love for you to join the discussion down below. And with that, let's get right into it and rank all 14 of Kenshi's designs throughout the entire Mortal Kombat series. Now, in the beginning of this video, there's a reason I said Kenshi really doesn't have any bad costumes. Well, there is just one I would really consider bad, that being the chaotically bad to the eyes Chaos Kenshi from MK1. At the end of the MK1 main story, this was shown off to tease the upcoming story DLC Chaos Reigns. And even back then, I thought this looked very rough, being prominently featured in this overpriced expansion, and damn does this design look bad. The obvious one is the hair. I get he's supposed to be from a universe controlled by Havoc, but why did they go with this approach? It just looks extremely stupid. Hell, a simple solution would be to give some chaotic samurai armor or something. This era has proven that we've seen some weird time manipulation with World War II Johnny, so why not give him some creepy samurai armor or something? Seriously, why did they go with this approach? It looks really bad. And if you want to look at the color palette, it's just really off and, dare I say, chaotic. I get this is supposed to be a very different take on the character, but I believe it steers too hard into that direction and it doesn't even feel like Kenshi anymore. Of all the Kenshi designs, this is an eyesore, deserving its spot at number 14. Let's stick with Mortal Kombat 1 and look at the Union of Light variants, also known as a missed opportunity. Even though it's near the bottom of the ranking, there are a couple of things I do like about this design. For one, I really like how it goes for more red and white instead of the typical red and black. It's a nice change of pace. I even like how there is still some Under Armour-like material under the padded pieces on his sleeves. But honestly, that's really about it. The loincloth is way too long for my liking, kind of reminding me of Kitana's MK9 look. Also, I feel like the helmet could look better. Personally, I think some of it has to do with the fact that his blindfold kind of clashes with the design, something that my friend Uncommon Oddities said best in his ranking. Along with that, I think the helmet looks a bit too bland and could be updated a little bit to stand out. Dude should have taken some inspiration from MK11 Shao Kahn. But besides that, there are some solid ideas in here that need to be fleshed out a bit better in order to get itself higher on this ranking. At number 12, we're looking at where Kenshi made his debut with Deadly Alliance. The team had truly cooked with his primary design, so much so that I keep forgetting he has a secondary costume. Now, I'll admit having an origin costume as an alternate is a good idea, but this doesn't feel like Kenshi. Dude looks like he's about ready to perform a Shin Shoryuken to the Dark Lord of Muay Thai. Now, many could say that it's just meant to look simple and not like the Kenshi we know yet, but I disagree. Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind proved that you can make an iconic Kenshi look without the blindfold and still make it feel like Kenshi. Heck, even Mortal Kombat 1's main story did that. Instead, this just feels like they were trying to make a reference to another series and could get away with it since this was a brand new character and not anyone established yet. I still think this is a fine design, but never associated this with Kenshi. This costume is for the streets. Now, from this point onward, I think all of these designs are great. At the lowest, I would probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, since so many of these costumes are close for me, I'll explain my placements and why one edges out over the other one. Alright, now let's get back to it. Training our way into number 11 with the Wu Shi variants from Mortal Kombat 1. These designs were featured in the story for one small portion. Now, I understand 3 other characters get this exact same design. I do like how Kenshi makes it feel like it's his own. Unlike the other two characters, Kenshi has more red that makes it pop, and his design gives him his medallion on his chest, the red belt, and the red sheath of the sword along with the blindfold. Unlike the other two characters, he has tight white sleeves going down his arms, which I think makes him stand out in comparison to Johnny Cage and Raiden. Sure, it's very simple, but I do like how they made tweaks to make it stand out and not just the same design done 3 times. I really don't know what else to say with this one. When I see it, it just makes me go, woo! Cracking into the top 10 with another story-based costume, the Festival Disguise variants from Mortal Kombat 1. Now, I almost didn't even include this one because it's basically a modified version of the New Era design, so I'll keep it short and brief since a lot of the design aspects are going to be discussed later in the video. But I will say it's a fun treat to actually give players a weirdo costume by giving Kenshi a colorful hood with a face mask, fun shoulder pads, and a nice vest. It's intentionally supposed to be a goofy costume per the context of the story, and it's cute, and I like how they made it a selectable costume. Because it's a modified version of an existing design, I'm not gonna place it any higher than 10, but still a fun design to bring out during the combat festivities. After all of this time, we are looking at what fans to consider to be the best game in the series, Mortal Kombat Deception. Personally, if you ask me, I think this is the weakest of Kenshi's base designs, but I still find it to be amazing. I guess I'll get the negatives out of the way first so you understand where I'm coming from. Personally, I found this design to be a little bit too techy for my liking. This design is more of a Special Forces makeover, and you can really see it. He's more heavily armored than before, notably with his shoulder pads, the bulkier gauntlets, and the boots that he's wearing. Personally, I felt like it's a bit too padded for my liking, and I also think that the sternum part of this design does look a little bit weird. But if they had managed to tone down the armor just slightly, lean to what Kenshi is more known for with the slim and stealthy like armor, then this could have gone a bit higher. But I still love the color in this design. The prominent black looks super nice, and I like how the red accent just pops so well with it. And I even like how he has the 2 symbols on his chest too. We don't really see that in many other Kenshi designs, and I like how it's unique to this one. Yet again, even though it's ranked lower, I still think it's pretty good. I just want to remind you of that once again. Entering the number 8 spot with my favorite playable version of Kenshi with Mortal Kombat 9. For once, I finally get to talk about the Mortal Kombat 9 PS Vita port, as that port of the game gave exclusive costumes for the DLC characters, and here we have Kenshi's design, which I think looks pretty good. Now, when I talked about the alternate design for Kenshi and Deadly Alliance, this is what I wish they went for. You still have plenty of the iconic elements of Kenshi, some of the lighter armor, the iconic sword sheath, and the iconic black and red color palette. This time around, they got rid of his blindfold and gave him a longer loincloth around his waist. Along with that, they removed the sash across his torso. Honestly, this reminds me of a design that we'll be talking about later in this ranking, and I guarantee that's where they got a lot of the inspiration is from this Vita exclusive costume. Now, unfortunately, this is the only model we have to go off of, and it looks kinda low quality, especially if you look at the face, but I honestly hope this makes a return later down the line. Quite the hidden gem of Kenshi's designs. At number 7, we're looking at another unique design as DLC, heralding from the Samurai pack of MKX, the Ronin design. Now, even though that this is supposed to be a what-if fun costume where it's just MK characters wearing traditional samurai armor, there's a lot of attention to detail that went into this that I absolutely love. Still resembling stuff for Kenshi while still making it accurate to samurai. First off, I like how he's wearing more lightweight armor, and I still like that it's Kenshi's go-to color palette. The borders of the colors being red with the primary armor being black. Instead of going for some very bulky armor, it's lightweight. And I even like how they sprinkled in some different hues of colors in there. For one, I love the half Oni mask he's wearing on his face with that bright saturated red, which really makes it help stand out. And I even like the dark navy blue head wrap he's wearing. Instead of going for a traditional blindfold he has in a lot of his designs, this is a nice change of pace. For a fun themed costume, they just nailed it with this one. And you can tell the team liked it because they sorta brought this back in Mortal Kombat 1, as it fights along Kenshi as his spirit, albeit slightly tweaked. Can't believe this Ronin's roaming its way up the list. And let's close out Mortal Kombat X by looking at his primary design. Remember what I said a few placements ago regarding the Vita exclusive costume for Kenshi? Well, this is that design, but better. Kenshi this time around is now wearing more leather armor, while still wearing some traditional traditional Japanese clothing. Not gonna lie, the red leather shoulder pads do so much for me. It complements very well with the red straps on his arms, and they accent well with the blue sleeves with the wonderful pattern to it. And I think this is a wonderful way to mesh the Special Forces design for Kenshi. He has a weird looking techie vest underneath the leather armor, but this time around it works for me, unlike the Deception based look. Now some parts are slightly over designed, like I don't really like the loincloth he's wearing with this one, but if there's one thing I love most about this design, it's the beard. It's honestly criminal this is the only bearded Kenshi design we got. Hopefully more designs can implement some bearded looks for Kenshi. Overall, this design's beard game is strong. Can't go wrong. We're finally entering the top 5 and looking at another origin costume, this coming from Mortal Kombat 1 with the Yakuza variants. No, not Kazuma Kiryu, but we were looking at Kenshi before the tournament. This version of Kenshi re-established him as a member of the Yakuza, invading Johnny Cage's home to get Sento back. Even though this design is very simple, just a dude in a suit, I love it. Giving him a black suit with a red undershirt was just a genius way to retain the color palette. Along with that, one of my favorite little things they did with this design is give him the hand tattoos. Now, if you've played the story of this game, when you encounter him, he doesn't have the blindfold, but when you get to play as him, the blindfold is added. I did wish there was an option so we could have an unblinded Kenshi playable in this game, and another reason to look at Noah Flutter's beautiful face. Maybe that's why I put this one so high on the list. Now, I would go with the go-to pun and say if looks could kill, this would be it, but no, there is another sharp-dressed fellow that just edges out over this one, and that goes to number 4 with the Order of Darkness variants. Another suit-based costume that I think looks amazing. Though pretty similar to the Yakuza variants, they do a few things to switch it up a bit, and for the better. For one, he doesn't have a blindfold, but instead has some pretty cool rip-off Viper glasses. His suit jacket is now red, with the undershirt being black, and when you look at the shoes, they have that nice red look to it. Also, I'm a sucker for the red waistline. I just love how much that pops. That and the collar. Not too much else I can say about this one that was already said in the Yakuza variants. It's just that suit, but better. We are finally making our way into the top 3 and looking at where it all started with his base design from Deadly Alliance. Yeah, I wasn't kidding when they said they cooked with his base design. He just looks that good. He debuted with a black bodysuit with red accents, wearing a sash across his chest with a wonderful dragon design to it, capped off with a red bandana worn across his eyes. This alone shaped Kenshi for years to come, and it's no wonder that people loved this design so much. It's so simple yet iconic, remaining as the basis for designs moving forward in other titles. They barely stray away from this design, and you can clearly tell. They didn't even make some weird alternate design in Deception, instead they just went with this. That just screams how much they loved his debut design. Deadly Alliance Kenshi made such a wonderful impression that he quickly became my buddy Jeff's favorite Mortal Kombat character. Now, even though that I praise this one so much, I think there are 2 other designs that do this one slightly better. But if you ask me, this is definitely one of the best debut designs for any character, easily deserving the bronze medal. And our runner-up goes to the latest Mortal Kombat title, Mortal Kombat 1 with the New Era variants. Similar to what I just said a second ago, this takes a lot of elements from his base design from Deadly Alliance, just tweaking it to make it fit a modern era. As the story progressed during their infiltration to Outworld, you see him wear his tactical suit and has a long coat with red accents. Then later in the story, he dons his iconic trademark blindfold after being blinded by Melina. As a result, we get one of the best Kenshi designs to date. I personally love this one so much, and it opts for something very different than what we're used to. I love the traditional Japanese pants he's wearing, along with that awesome jacket, flowing with a nice red with some nice black shoulder pads. I even like how his techie armor is a mix of both red and black, instead of primarily black he's had in the past. As I said with Deadly Alliance that it was the best debut design, this is one of the best ways to reinvent a character. I guess my only gripe with this one that holds it back from being number 1 is that it is slightly over-designed if you ask me. If the vest and sleeves were more simplified, then I think it could have been the top spot. But I can't deny and say that this is one of the best Kenshi designs of all time. Hell, I'd even say that this is one of the best designs in all of Mortal Kombat. For all these reasons, it deserves the silver medal. But coming in at number 1 is the reimagined MK Deadly Alliance look in Mortal Kombat 9. Come on, you all saw this one coming. With Mortal Kombat 9 mind going back to the basics, so did Kenshi's design. Now it's a redefined version of his classic MK Deadly Alliance look, now featuring glowing panels on the back of his hands along with a more defined haircut. Personally, I think this was the best way to readapt this costume. They just went with one of the best designs ever and just modified it in the best way possible. I honestly think the glowing parts on his hands are just enough to make it pop a little bit without making it too extra or over-designed. For many players, this was their introduction to the character, and talk about a wonderful first impression. To date, this is my favorite interpretation of the character, both in gameplay and style. If you were to show up in the Mortal Kombat movie, I hope he looks like this. And if he ends up showing up in a future Mortal Kombat title, I hope this is the design we get. What I'm getting at is, this is my Kenshi. For all of these reasons, the Mortal Kombat 9 design is my favorite Kenshi costume of all time. And there you have my ranking of all of Kenshi's designs ranked from the worst to the best. Which one of them was your favorite and which one is your least favorite? Be sure to comment down below and let's have a fun discussion about it. If you're a big fan of all costumes ranked and want to see more characters featured, please consider dropping a like, subscribing, and sharing. Your support truly means a ton. I can't thank you all enough, and I literally do all of this for you guys. Seriously, you all mean a ton to me. If you've been paying attention to both the community tab and some of my previous videos, the next Mortal Kombat character we're going to be looking at in all costumes ranked is Nightwolf. Also, as I've mentioned, I have a few more fun videos coming down the pipeline, such as build the roster together, and another all costumes ranked character focusing on someone from the Street Fighter franchise and another from the Tekken series, so stay tuned for that. And I know some of you like to watch Rain get very uncomfortable with gore, so we are going to be reacting to Mortal Kombat X fatalities, so stay tuned for that coming very soon. What do you think about that, honey? As always, thank you so much for your continuous support. My name is Nick, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.